Okay, here's a question that I have for you today. Do you have it? And if you have it, how do you know? Did you take a test? Oh, and I'm not talking about the coronavirus. In fact, it isn't an it in the first place. It's a person. What I'm asking is, do you have the Holy Spirit? And how do you know? Is there a test for it? Some people think that you need to have supernatural proof of the Holy Spirit's presence. For some, speaking in tongues is a necessary evidence that you have the Holy Spirit. And others go in a different direction altogether. They equate the presence of the Holy Spirit with powerful emotional experiences. The more pumped up the worship service is, the stronger the Holy Spirit's presence. Do you have the Holy Spirit? And how do you know? Well, grace and peace to you. I am Mark Welke, the pastor at West Acres Lutheran Church in Prairie Farm, Wisconsin. It's been 2 months now since we've gathered together for worship. We've been able to gather together for worship. And I know the importance it is to have this distance to prevent the spread of this confusing virus. But it's been hard. The hardest part for me, and for a lot of people, has been this isolation. It just feels like you're all alone. The reading from today's gospel is quite literally comforting, since in it Jesus assures his disciples that even though he is leaving, they won't be left alone. The Father will send another advocate, which is often translated as the Comforter, the Holy Spirit. So Jesus promises his disciples and those who love him that we will not be left alone. So our gospel reading for today is from the Gospel of John, chapter 14. And it's verses 15 to 21. And Jesus said, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments. And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another helper to be with you forever, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Yet a little while, and the world will see me no more. But you will see me. Because I live, you also will live. In that day you will know that I am in the Father, and you are in me, and I in you. Whoever has my commandments and keeps them, he it is who loves me. And he who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love him and manifest myself to him." Gospel of our Lord. And would you pray with me? God of all time and space, you initiated the relationship of love and generosity with creation at a time before and beyond all knowing. Through the Word and the Holy Spirit, you continue an eternal love for all people. Fill us with a deep and abiding awareness of your presence, your call, and your grace in our lives and in our world. Shape us into the people you have made us to be, poured out in creative mercy for the sake of Jesus Christ and all of creation. And we ask this in your precious name. Amen and amen. Have you ever noticed that a vast majority of artwork you see in churches are either depictions of Jesus? They portray various episodes of Jesus' life and his death and his resurrection. I mean, churches are filled with pictures of Jesus everywhere, right? But how much artwork do you see of the Holy Spirit? Not as much as Jesus. I mean, the Holy Spirit is more challenging to portray and to explain and understand. How do you experience the Holy Spirit? Other than maybe the shape of a dove or a flame, people often equate the work of the Holy Spirit with a particular kind of experience. Maybe it's an enthusiastic worship service or speaking in tongues. Others are content with kind of a vague spirituality that seems, there's a sense of something, out there. It's more of a feeling or an intuition that they have. But Jesus promises us the Holy Spirit will be with us and in us. But how do you know? This question weighed heavily on a woman who was a member of my internship congregation many years ago. And I remember that day and that conversation vividly. It had a huge impact on me personally and professionally. I was at the church in my closet office when I got the phone call, and she was clearly upset. And she asked if I had time to meet with her and talk. I said, sure. And since she only lived a few blocks away, she was there in a matter of minutes. So we grabbed a table and kind of off in the corner of the fellowship hall, a little bit distracted by several kids from the daycare running around. And she sat down there, she started telling me what was happening, and tears were coming down her face. She said she had watched this televangelist, and he stated over and over again that if you can't speak in tongues, then you don't have the presence of the Holy Spirit in you, and you are separate from God. And this really upset her and concerned her. She was crying. She felt like she said, I can't speak in tongues. Does this mean God has rejected me? And she just cried. And while we were talking, one of the kids running around fell down and got hurt and just started bawling. And she got up in the middle of our conversation without even excusing herself, which is so rude. But she just jumped right up in the middle of our conversation and ran to this child, which wasn't her own, and she picked him up and rocked him and comforted him and rubbed his head. And when he finally settled down, she brought him back with her, sat down in the chair, had him in her lap, and held him close, and she continued her story crying that she felt that she didn't have the Holy Spirit. I then got teary-eyed for two reasons. First, is what I just saw this woman do was the clearest, most profound evidence of the Holy Spirit I've ever encountered. Far more powerful and encouraging and inspiring than she would have just started talking in tongues. Seeing her get up and go care for a child that wasn't her own and love and care for him, that was the Holy Spirit. And then I had tears in my eyes because I was angry. I was livid. I was furious at this so-called televangelist and his alienating pseudo-theology that made her feel like she can't speak in tongues, that she didn't have the Holy Spirit's presence. And it still makes me mad. I believe that God still does signs and wonders. And I'm not opposed to enthusiastic worship services. In fact, I enjoy them from time to time. I love the music and the praise. It's wonderful. And I do believe that people do have the gift of tongues. The Spirit gives that gift, and it's a wonderful gift. But I've got to tell you that vibrant worship and divine utterances are not indisputable evidence of the Holy Spirit's presence. They're not. Jesus offers the ultimate test for the Spirit's presence. Jesus declared to his disciples that they receive the Holy Spirit through their love relationship with him. Jesus, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. And what does Jesus command? That you love one another. It's this love relationship that when we love Jesus and obey his commands, there's room in our heart for the Holy Spirit to come in to live and work through us. Again, so those who love Jesus find that their heart is made home for the Holy Spirit, the helper, the comforter, who then enables us to live this out and to love others. In fact, Jesus says, because I'm going to the Father, you'll be doing even greater things than I do. That woman, the member of my internship congregation, loved and comforted a child that wasn't her own. She saw and felt his pain and his anguish and his fear, and she responded in love. That is the presence of the Holy Spirit working in and through that woman. When we're in a love relationship with Jesus, when we open ourselves up to Jesus' lives in our lives, living in and through us by the power of the Holy Spirit, we see it expressed in wonderful, amazing, and profound acts of love. And oftentimes, simple acts of love. Do you have the Holy Spirit? Yes, you do. And the simple acts of love that Jesus lives and works through you. And that's the good news. So until I see you again, God's peace to you.